Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Chris McPherson Show's The Daily Dose. Well, Australia have done it again. A 2-wicket win over India at the Adelaide Oval wrapped up the one-day international series with a game to spare. And more than just a result, it was a manner of victory that will have Aussie selectors grinning and fans getting behind the side. Young guns stood tall under lights, the bowlers did the damage early, and Cooper Connolly at just 22 has announced himself to the world on the international stage. Of course, don't forget, if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you hit subscribe and drop a like. If you're listening on a podcast platform, hit follow or subscribe so you never, ever miss an episode. And as always, you can join the conversation across our socials at The Chris Mack Show on your favourite platforms, or you can get involved in the comments down below if you're tuned in on YouTube. But let's get to the game. And India was sent in under bright South Aussie sunshine. And look, they flirted with control. They couldn't really ever quite dominate. Rohit Sharma and Shreyas Iyer steadied things up reasonably after early wickets with a good, classy 118-run partnership. Rohit 73 took him past Sourav Ganguly into third on India's all-time one-day international runs list. But when Adam Zampa struck twice in quick succession, momentum swung straight back to the Aussies. Zampa's return from paternity leave couldn't have gone better. 4 for 60, including the key wickets of Iyer and KL Rahul, while Xavier Bartlett continued a brilliant start to international life, 3 for 39, the two of them combining for 7 wickets. But much like in Perth, Josh Hazlewood's wicketless spell was a masterclass. 10 overs, 29 runs, and endless frustration for India's top order. And speaking of frustration, it's not often we thought we'd say this. Virat Kohli, back-to-back ducks in the same sentence. 2 innings, 2 zeros, and Xavier Bartlett's in-swinger had him trapped plumb in front. Absolutely no doubt. Before this tour, he'd never made a duck in 29 previous one-days in Australia. Until now, that is. Now back-to-back, 2 to start the series. India end up limping to 9 for 264. Far from horrible, but probably below par given the surface and conditions. Australia's chase began under lights, looking for 265, and the start, I think it's fair to say it wasn't ideal. Mitch Marsh and Travis Head both fell inside the power play, and the top order looked a touch shaky, but cometh the moment, cometh the hometown hero, Matt Short, playing on his home ground, the Adelaide Oval, and he made the Indians pay for some missed chances, surviving a drop catch and a near run out before settling in and compiling a fluent, career-best 74 from 78 rocks. Finally starting to show that confidence and timing we've seen for years in the Big Bash with the strikers. When he did fall, the game was still in the balance, and it was left to 2 relative newcomers to get things done. Cooper Connolly and Mitch Owen had to right the ship, and what a performance they delivered. Connolly, at just 22 years old, looked full of experience, ice cold. A match-winning 61 not out, built on maturity, I think it's fair to say, well beyond his years. And he even admitted post-match that to calm those nerves in between deliveries, he was singing along to the Adelaide Oval DJ who was spinning tunes around the ground. It's poetic, really, that 2 years on from that famous Big Bash final where he guided the Scorchers to victory, here he was doing it again, now for his country. Mitch Owen, the master blaster, with that absolutely explosive bat, added 36 of just 23. Freedom and pure intent. 3 sixes in a debut innings that screamed potential. Between them, they added 59 runs and took Australia home with 3 wickets to spare and 3 overs left in the bank. When Connolly raised his bat at the end, you couldn't help but feel it. This was a moment, maybe a sign that Australia's next generation aren't just ready, they're ready to kick goals in international cricket. There's a lot to like if you're in the Aussie camp. Zampa's spin control in his return, Bartlett's new ball movement, Short's grit under pressure, and Connolly's finishing touch all around the ground. Plenty of boxes ticked. It looks like it's a team evolving in real time with the retirements of Steve Smith, Glenn Maxwell and Marcus Stoinis from one-day international cricket earlier this year. This series has very much been about identifying who will take that next step. And in 2 matches, the answers are starting to write themselves. But let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. Australia's next gen do need to carry on this for a bit of a more extended period, a prolonged one, if you will. The shoots are very green, though. On the other side, for India, there'll be questions. Gill's early days as captain have been a touch shaky. Kohli's form is starting to shape as a concern, and Rohit looks a little inconsistent. Fielding lapses continue to haunt them. One thing we know is they will regroup for Sydney, where they will undoubtedly hold the lion's share of support at a sold-out SCG. But you just have to feel there's a sense of transition and a little uncertainty about this Indian lineup. Only time will tell. But attention now turns to the third one-day international at the SCG on Saturday. A dead rubber on paper, but still a golden chance, for young players to stake a claim before the T20 series and the summer ahead, and a chance for India to try and sort out some of those nerves, edges, and inconsistencies. Australia have shuffled the deck. Jack Edwards and Matt Kuhneman come into the squad. Marnus Labuschagne returns to Shield duties, and maybe we'll see Josh Philippe get another crack with the gloves as Josh Inglis continues his recovery. Straight off the back of that, we'll roll into a 5-match T20 series again against India starting October 29th in Canberra. And for the T20s, Glenn Maxwell will return from his fractured wrist from Game 3 onwards, which is great to see the big show back. While 20-year-old quick Marley Beardman could make his international debut after having impressed in the domestic one-day cup and getting a call up to the squad. Josh Hazlewood, Sean Abbott and Marnus Labuschagne will head back to red ball prep ahead of the Ashes, but the constant rotation shows that there's depth and flexibility in this Aussie setup. I'm certainly looking forward to this T20 series. Names like Beardman, Bartlett, Connolly and Owen, they could be names we might be talking about a lot more over the next few years, that is for certain. Well, that's about all for today's Daily Dose. Australia have wrapped up the series. India, they're left with some soul-searching to do, and the focus now shifts to the SCG and then onwards to that 5-match blockbuster T20 stretch that will take us through into November. If you haven't already, hit subscribe on the YouTube, follow the show on your favourite podcast platform, and check out all the socials. You can find us at The Chris Mack Show on TikTok, Instagram, X, and Facebook. A big thank you to you for tuning into your home of the black and white on sport. No grey opinions here. And we certainly look forward to seeing you again next time. Make sure you're tuned on in.